Not on my sexy FM voice.
How you doing?
So good.
Check 1, 2 dance.
Whoa.
This is like, you know James Hall?
Yeah, I love James Hall.
Yeah, his son Liam Hall was on our podcast.
Oh yeah, I haven't met him.
He's amazing, man. Fuck,
I've
been writing with him a lot. I don't know if I just turned you up or me up. I'm trying to turn me up.
Does he live in New York?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
He's he just got signed to Atlantic. He's about to put out his first album.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, but he did the podcast and he said the setup looks like a hostage situation.
Here comes the beheading.
Which was hysterical.
No, I used to see James Hall in New Orleans because back when I had my restaurant, they were.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had a restaurant in New Orleans.
What was that like?
Amazing. But the scene down there was awesome, and he was one of my favorites to go see.
Yeah.
He was an amazing performer.
I think you're probably all right. And it's cool. You can chime in if you want. There's no rules, man.
We go back 25 years, Arnie.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you guys meet?
On the road with Caius when I was Caius's guitar tech.
Oh, okay. Is that how you met like Josh and and that whole crew?
Yeah.
Oh, so you were the guitar tech at first.
Yep.
And then you became
a guitarist,
integral member of the band.
Yeah, I jumped in.
Yeah.
I was scared.
How did you go about becoming a guitar tech?
Well, I had a fire at my restaurant in New Orleans, and there was no power at the house because I lived above the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I got a call from my good friend Hutch, who was doing sound. And I'd known the Caius guys for a while. I met them through Chris Goss and Hutch. Mm-hmm. And they needed a guitar tech for Europe, and I'd never been. So I went, and cool. I met Arnie and a bunch of other awesome Amsterdamians.
Yeah, they're real cool. They got bikes all over the place and weed, back when no one else had weed. Yep. Y'all were the first.
Yeah.
Remember that was like the biggest deal going to Amsterdam, being like, I can smoke weed. This is crazy.
I was always scared to go in coffee shops, even though it was legal. I always felt like I was doing something criminal.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, dude,
you're allowed.
You're allowed.
I know, it's weird. It's still illegal in New York. Like, it's still a seedy thing. Like, the last time actually I quit weed, and I was like, was working actually with Liam a lot. That's James Hall's son.
Yep.
In L.A., and I kept like going into the legal weed stores, which are like Mac stores. They got the marketing down.
Oh yeah,
so good. It's like, oh, and you can buy just the fancy one joint, and then it's like, oh, I'm not really going into kind of like messing around with smoking cigarettes again. Not that we got to edit that out now. No, we don't. I'm just kidding. But just like, it's like you can
good.
You can get away with like one or something like that. But then I went back to New York, and I like ordered up some weed. I saw some kid gave me like a card, and he had packages of weed and everything. Then I ended up ordering weed from him, and met him on the street, and I'm buying weed on the street, and then he goes, hey, man, I got a bunch of cocaine, too, if you want that. Suddenly, I'm in a situation where, like, for me, I was just, like, a month ago just buying, like, weed out of a Mac store in L.A., which was, like, perfectly legal. Suddenly, I'm, like, probably with a minor who's got, like, fucking bags of cocaine. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with weed. Like, there's, like, nothing in my life is going to get me into trouble right now the way I'm behaving. But, like, this... Yeah. This could actually be like a fuck up. All of a sudden, a cop runs by. All of a sudden, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm done. Anyway.
Yeah, they're weed superstores out here.
Yeah,
I walked in when they first became legal, and I went to one in Venice, and it felt like it was 2 stories high. It probably wasn't, but
yeah,
it was like weed, Coca-Cola, weed lollipops, weed,
edibles.
I can't do that. It gets me way too high.
It gets me too paranoid now. I get the fear. Like doing a podcast, forget it. Like the whole first like few episodes, I would say every time like at the end of one, I'd be like, okay, I just said something that's going to end my whatever career, whatever this is.
I thought drugs made your career, not yours in particular, but
yeah. No, they probably helped mine
career.
For a second and before they like put it into the dirt for more than 5 minutes,
Drugs always fucked me up a little too much. I enjoyed them occasionally, but I never got too deep.
Yeah. Did you ever, like, except for what do you think about psychedelics?
I still do psychedelics occasionally.
Yeah.
Not very often, but occasionally.
Microdosing, any of that?
A little bit here and there.
I do that a little bit here and there. Don't tell my sober friends that. I still consider that sobriety.
Yeah, I think it's a different thing.
It's a different thing. If you're not tripping, I mean, even if you did trip hard here and there, it's medicinal. But the desert and psychedelics seem to go together like white on rice, man.
That is indeed the case.
Yeah,
almost
everybody who comes here. Yeah, we are with Dave catching the mysterious, the famous, the miraculous. Even
I don't think I'm famous, but I'm definitely alive.
You're famous to the people who know you.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take that.
Yeah, but so you must get like people coming with like pockets full of mushrooms every time they come here.
That or asking if I have any.
Right. And yeah. So, yeah, is there I'm not asking, but it's suddenly turning into that. Is there a guy down the street? No.
I'm sure there's someone around here that must have.
I'm good.
Yeah, I don't take them very often anymore, but occasionally it's not a bad thing with the right people.
Right. Or like the microdosing thing is cool because it's just kind of like a better version of an antidepressant, I find.
I had a band in recently who I won't name, but
right.
they were kind of midly dosing for the entire time.
Yeah.
And they did some really great work. They weren't like going super crazy, but they were definitely more than micro-dosing.
Slightly more than microdosing? I think that's my version of microdosing.
Slightly more.
I think my version of microdosing is always slightly more. But as soon as you say that, I bet their record is good.
Yeah.
That's my weird reverse prejudice about that kind of... I think that drug, or in particular, brings in certain creative spirits that help a project, but can hurt it if you don't ever like measure it with some bouts of sobriety too.
Oh, definitely. They were doing both, but
that's smart.
The album sounds insanely awesome.
I bet.
I'm sure they'll talk about it themselves. I'd rather not.
Yeah, don't out
them. I don't out anyone.
Yeah. But so what was your restaurant like in New Orleans? Did you cook in it or just open it or?
Yeah, I was the chef. I was offered a place. This is in 1993, 92, 93. I was offered a restaurant for $1,000 a month that included the restaurant, a venue, a 2-story, 6-bedroom house above it. Everything but the bar. The guy that offered it to me wanted people to come to his bar. So they wanted a restaurant and they wanted me to book a club. So my friends and I would play the club while we're working the restaurant, and we all lived above it. And it was great. It was open Wednesday noon through Sunday noon. And we did pizzas, pastas, whatever we could get cheaply. That would be the specials.
Right.
But it was a really awesome time to be in New Orleans. New Orleans was definitely Wild West.
Yeah.
I never had to get a permit or anything. We were very, very clean and permittable, but no one ever asked us if we needed a permit.
Isn't it still Wild West vibes?
It's pretty Wild West, but it's definitely changed from those days. That's quite a while ago.
So that's cool though. So that was 93, huh? What neighborhood in New Orleans?
It was uptown, kind of near Tipitina's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I spent a bunch of time down there too.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah, with Mike Napolitano.
Yeah, I love Mike.
I lived right over Checkpoint Charlie's.
Yep.
For a little while.
Yeah, I've been to Mike's above Checkpoints many times, and Dave Rosser.
Dave Rosser, rest in peace.
One of the coolest dudes ever.
Yeah, he took over the Nappy Dugout.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with those guys right after Katrina up there, and we were looking at all the fires around town because people were burning their houses to collect insurance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because no one had flood insurance. So a lot of people burned their houses to get some sort of insurance.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was there. I think the soonest I could get a flight there was about a month after.
And what'd you do down there?
Well, my daughter and her mom and a ton of friends lived there, so I went to just make sure everything was cool.
Right.
I still feel tied to that city. I'm sure you do too.
I do.
Once you're in there,
It gets in.
it's in.
Yeah.
But it's a hard city to get anything accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little too much fun, too much to do.
Yeah, well, the energy of, you pick up on the energy of the people in your environment. And if there's a lot of hanging out,
Oh yeah.
Then it's hard to be like a force that's going in opposition to that. That's one of the things I like about New York is it's just in motion. It's kind of hard to live there, but I kind of like that about it.
Yeah,
you know?
you definitely have to be driven to live in New York.
Yeah.
I've always loved it. I'm from Memphis, in the early 80s, people I really admired like Alex Chilton and a few friends moved to New York. And it scared the shit out of me. I mean, their stories of, how gnarly New York was with junkies and crumbling buildings and the way that New York was in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going to L.A., and that was a whole different scene than New York there. It was hippies and sun and sand.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then you stayed out here in the West Coast.
Yeah, I took a little while. We would try to stay. I came out with a band. We had opened up for the Gun Club on my mother's birthday, where we took a lot of psychedelics, and it was probably one of the most hated gigs of Memphis ever. We were kind of a hated band at certain times.
Why?
We were punk rock and country. So
that would make sense now, probably more so.
Yeah, we were kind of like the hick bad brains of Memphis.
That sounds amazing.
It was actually a great band, and we did very well once we got to Los Angeles. We never got big or anything, but we got to open for all our friends, and we had solid gigs. But we opened for the Gun Club on my mom's birthday, and I took a lot of psychedelics, and it turns out my mom showed up at the show, unbeknownst to me.
That must have been therapeutic.
It was awesome. She never really drank, and I think she'd had a couple of drinks, so she didn't really realize how much hatred was in the room. So she just, oh, you guys were really great. That was amazing.
What was that band called?
The Modifiers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's trippy.
So Jeffrey invited us to open up their L.A. show, which was awesome. So we went across country and opened for them. And by that time, we'd met Circle Jerks, and the band had opened for Black Flag, Circle Jerks, tons of, traveling bands. Most bands used to go through Memphis in the early 80s. So we became friends. All the fanzines, you would hook up with people. There were fanzines before the internet.
Right.
So you would start writing people, and then somewhere in Iowa, we have a club, you should come through here. And you would just go there and play a show and stay with friends. And that became a whole network of, changing info with people.
Send cassettes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, and you hung out with Alex Chilton in Memphis, or you knew him? Or?
Yeah, very well. He actually played bass with the Modifiers for a short time.
That's wild.
He was playing with Panther Burns, and we used to play a lot of shows together. And then when he moved to New Orleans, our first show in New Orleans, we went down, and the owner of the club never showed up. So he was washing dishes at the Quarter of the Three Sisters. You know that place in the Quarter? Have you ever been by there?
I don't know. I can't remember.
It's a really famous restaurant there. Anyway, he was a dishwasher, which tells you.
Yeah, I remember Mike telling me about that. And he would play go and play in clubs solo and do blues songs. And
Absolutely.
He wouldn't do big star stuff. Right?
Never.
Yeah, not until the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we ended up at the Friendly Bar, which was across the street from the Beat Exchange, which is where we were going to play. And the owner never showed up to let us in. So we were at the Friendly Bar drinking $1.25 tall Budweisers that came with a shot of Jack Daniels. I don't drink beer, so I was drinking all the shots. And we met some girls that, since they weren't letting us into the venue, they told us we could go to this place called the Rose Tattoo, which was exactly across the street from Tipitina's. So we all jumped in the van, went to the Rose Tattoo with Alex, who had met us a little later in the day after he got off work.
Yeah.
And our singer got so drunk that he was passed out. And so Alex sang, and they talked the owner into letting us play for beer because they wanted to see us play, or drinks or whatever. So she agreed, and about 5 songs in, she kindly approached us while we were playing with Alex singing standard Elvis and Chuck Berry songs, and asked us if we could please stop playing because we were scaring her local, guys away.
Right.
She said that she would still give us free drinks, but
stop.
Please stop.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's why. Was he like upset about like the fact that he was being a dishwasher and all that stuff like that?
Not at all.
He was cool with it.
It was kind of weird because he was so famous when he was like 16.
Yeah, he had the big hit then.
Huge.
Yeah,
they had
the box tops.
The box tops. He had like 3 or 4 giant hits that are still on the radio today.
Yeah,
and then Big Star really didn't do. I mean, they were amazing albums, but they didn't do anything. So at the time, he'd already not been famous for a while,
and he was like moving on, thinking like that it wasn't going to become like what it became.
No. One thing that's cool though is we did stay with him that night, and he taught me open G tuning, which is
what I went Richards.
Yeah, the Keith Richards tuning, and I ended up playing that with Eagles of Death Metal later on. But I always played it since he showed me that in '81 or something.
Yeah,
and then it came in handy later.
Yeah,
but that was cool. He showed me a lot of cool stuff, a lot of slide stuff. He was a really interesting, super smart guy.
Yeah.
Did you stay in touch with him until?
Yeah. We were friends. I used to go see him play when he would play out in L.A. When we were living here. We'd all go out and hang out with him. And then when I moved back to New Orleans to start the restaurant, we were hanging out quite a bit. Not all the time, but we'd go see him play and hang out a little bit.
So how'd the restaurant end?
Well, I was taking a date to see Ike Turner play at House of Blues, and there was a gas leak which caused a bit of a fire. And it wasn't a huge bad fire, but it it ruined the electrical system of a building that was built in 1894. So it hadn't been redone since the late 20s or early 30s. So it caused a bit of damage. The strange thing was when it caught on fire, there were 2 fire departments playing across the street, playing softball across the street. So they came to help us. But every single one of the 5 fire extinguishers that were there
didn't work.
They were all empty. I grabbed one and it was empty. And I grabbed another and it was empty. And my friend grabbed another and it was empty. And it didn't do that much damage, but it was a very interesting evening, to say the least.
And that was the end of the restaurant.
That was the end of the restaurant.
And then, so how long after that were you like, okay, I'm going to L.A.?
Probably like 3 months later. Well, 3 months later, I got the call to go to Europe. And so I ended up going to Europe with Caius on a tour. And we all became really great friends. And it was really fun touring with those guys because their whole scene was we'll all set up the gear together. We'll all unload the gear, set it up, make the stage look cool as hell, work on getting the lights together, the sound together, and then we'll play, and that's all we're going to do for the day. And that's more than most people would ever consider doing as a band.
Right.
And it was really fun. It was a good time.
How long was that tour for?
That tour was probably like for 4 or 5 weeks, and then I ended up touring with them for about 1.5 years. And then I kind of just wanted to start doing other stuff. Strangely enough, when I had my restaurant, I got a call from Fred Drake, who was living here at the Rancho De La Luna, and he asked if I wanted to become partners in a studio with him here, even though I just opened a restaurant in New Orleans.
And how'd you know him?
I'd worked with him on a couple of records, and he was awesome. We became good friends, and actually before I left for New Orleans, I started coming out here more. I'd already been coming out for day trips.
So he found this place.
He found this place and the 2 houses on the property, and he was already living out here. And I'd been coming out here like on our first trip to LA in '82, we went through the park and I fell in love with it. I didn't really come back for about 5 or 6 years, but then I started coming back to do mushrooms in the park, or I'd drive out for the day and then drive back into LA. And when he moved out here, I would come out and visit him and stay for a night or two, and then it was very strange to get the call from him because I had no interest in coming back. I was really rooted in New Orleans and never thought I would leave, maybe for a vacation or something.
Right.
But he called and somehow I said yeah, and we became partners in the studio.
What do you think made you say, or what were you up to in New Orleans at that time if the restaurant was done?
I was making a pizza when he called for a customer. And
so the restaurant was still kind of going then.
Yeah, when he called, I was definitely just getting the restaurant really rolling. And
what struck you like, I'm just going to bail on this and go?
No, it's strange because he asked me, and the thing that sealed the deal is our friend Dean Chamberlain was selling all his studio gear, and that's where Fred and I had met. Like Fred had worked as an engineer there. So
where was there?
That was Dominion Way was the name of the studio, and it was in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he, our friend Dean was selling the gear, and his wife just wanted him out of the business. And so he told us he would sell us all his gear for $6,000.
Right.
And basically we could pay him $100 a month until it was done.
So he was just giving you his gear.
Yeah, because he loved Fred, and he and I had a couple of bands together too. So
it seemed like an omen, maybe.
Plus, Fred said we can just pay him like $100 a month. He's not really hurting for the cash. He just wants the gear to go somewhere cool.
Yeah.
So I just sent Fred a check for $3,000, figuring like, well, I'll get out there at some point and we'll do something. But then it turns out 9 months later, I didn't have a restaurant, and I was going back and forth between L.A. and New Orleans.
Okay, so it was a double omen. It was that, and then the fire, and then it was like, okay,
yeah,
it's like it was like the universe sort of deciding for you in a way, like
exactly
pushing you in that way.
Telling you you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it did. It's always funny when you think that you're having such a bad thing happen to you that leads you to even better things.
Yeah, the worst things in my life have been the best things in my life.
Yeah.
And some of the best things have, been struggles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. That my friend Cerise was telling me about how there's this astrology based on location, because she's like a musician who hasn't been doing music much in LA, and the astrologer told her it was location based, and if she wanted to like pursue music, she should go to the UK, and also Thailand would be good. So like whatever, if you believe in that or not, but it's interesting, like just the way your whole life shifts just by where you are, and especially someplace like it's sort of spirit based is this. I mean, in a way it's almost reductive to say, oh, it's like psychedelics, but because this place in and of itself is a psychedelic. Just even being here is like,
I agree. And as you well know, because you've recorded here,
I did
that New Orleans and Joshua Tree,
there's a relationship,
and they're kind of opposites, but not really.
Yeah,
like New Orleans is kind of dark and makes you want to do interesting things.
Maybe dance with the spirit realm. It encourages that because it reveals its presence the same way it does here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is just more of a laid back bright light, whereas that's rainy, and I don't mean dark in a bad way.
Right.
But it's it's a totally different vibe than here. Here it's definitely bright and shiny and happier, maybe. I don't know that that's exactly the right word, because New Orleans is very happy too, but it was a good place to be in both places, here and there.
It's interesting the places that draw you in too.
Yeah.
So you must have gone to New Orleans from Memphis then, or is that where you went from childhood then to New Orleans? Was that the next step?
No, when I was a kid, I went to New Orleans in probably 1969 or 70 with my parents on a trip, and I immediately fell in love with it.
Right.
And then I started going there with the modifiers. We'd play occasional gigs. We had these weird gigs where we would play, it's called Parents Without Partners. So single parents would go to these kind of dance things. They would hire.
So is it kind of like to try to get hooked up with another parent?
Absolutely.
And then they hired the modifiers to get that love vibe going?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the wildest thing ever.
Well,
It sounds like, oh my God.
you wouldn't really realize until you got there that, like, oh, maybe we should be playing Elvis songs and
Right.
all the covers that we know.
Yeah.
And then that would be a little better. But so we would do stuff like that. And so I kind of fell in love with it then, but I ended up doing the gun club show, and then we really fell in love with Los Angeles because there was a great scene then.
LA in the 80s.
Yeah, early 80s.
Like the punk scene, the hardcore scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you fell into that pretty good?
Yeah, the first night in LA, we went to Cafe du Grand, which is where we were going to be playing a couple of nights later.
Mm-hmm.
And I met 3 people I ended up playing in bands with and are still very good friends with the very first night I went to LA.
Interesting.
And they are?
Pleasant Gaiman, Texacala Jones, and Iris Berry. And I met a few other people I'm still friends with, but the first night our singer Milford disappeared, and I ran into this girl, Texacala Jones, who had dated Jeffrey Lee Pierce, and he had started a band called Tex and the Horseheads with her.
Mm-hmm. Is that like after Gun Club or?
It was during Gun Club.
Gun
He
Club.
started the band for her, but then he got other people to back her up.
Oh, okay.
But she said that she had seen Milford leave with a questionable lady, and we went out in the alley by the Cafe du Grand, and he was laying on the ground with his pants down around his knees. So he'd been mugged, and all of our he had all our money, so it had been stolen. So she took us back in, bought us drinks, and Pleasant and Iris were working at the bar, and they had a place called Disgrace Land.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of an infamous punk rock house. A lot of the Go-Go's had lived there.
Wow.
A lot of people, and it was basically a party 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And they said we could stay with them for a couple of nights, and we ended up staying with them and becoming really good friends. And then I had bands with all 3 of those girls, and
really?
and one that all 4 of us were in called the Ringling Sisters. That Lou Adler. I don't know if you know who Lou Adler is. He produced Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
And,
I know the name.
yeah.
I don't-
Cheech and Chong.
Right.
He did all the Cheech and Chong albums. And
Yeah.
he'd done basically everything he ever did except for our album was huge.
Right. Oh, well. What do you-
But that.
But
so, yeah, he was a producer for music as well.
yeah.
Or that was his strict thing?
Yeah,
or was
he
movies.
he
or,
owns the whiskey and the, and the
Okay.
Roxy. He
Right.
put on the
the Roxy.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
He
interesting.
put on Monterey Pop Festival because he did the Mamas and the Papas, so he was best friends with John Phillips, and
Right.
they were the ones that put on Monterey Pop Festival.
That's so funny. Lanigan brought up John Phillips yesterday, too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, about his memoir or something. Though.
I bet it's
unreal.
crazy.
What, Lanigan's? Or
Both.
John Phillips? Yeah.
Both, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Yeah. That's interesting. So what? Then the Go-Go's went huge, I guess, right?
Huge.
Yeah. They were major.
And it's funny, I've been hearing We Got the Beat a lot on different radio stations wherever I've been going. For some reason, that song is just, it keeps popping up in the weirdest places.
That's a good one.
It's a great one.
Who
It's
wrote that?
I think Jane Whelan might have written that.
Yeah.
When you were in LA in the whiskey in the 80s, was the punk rock scene big then in LA?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then
And the beginning of like hair metal and stuff.
yeah, that was my next question. The whole Guns era on the strip in LA and Motley Crue. Were you around for all that? And how did
Poison.
that affect you guys?
It didn't really affect us that much. Everybody kind of had that look, kind of like gothy. You know, we all were wearing leather pants and black T-shirts and cowboy boots. And I never got into the hairspray myself, but
Yeah.
everybody did.
Did you have big hair at all, or like long hair?
I had long hair, but I didn't
Yeah.
I never did the big hair
Never
thing.
poofed it out. No
No.
products.
You know, it just seemed to be pain in the ass to do
Yeah.
that. But like a lot of the people I played with did, and all the people, like all the bands like Guns N' Roses and L.A. Guns and everybody, they all played at the same places. Raji's when they started, and then they moved to the other end of the strip, Gazzari's and Roxy and the Whiskey. I was really excited about playing the Whiskey until I found out as soon as you're done, they throw your shit on the street.
Right.
And basically, like, good luck. All right. You can come back in once you figure out what you're going to do with your gear.
Right.
But what are you going to do with your gear?
Yeah, because there's that opening, right? And
Yeah.
then they just shove it out and then they put on the next band.
It's like you're on Sunset Boulevard with all your gear and a million people walking by.
Yeah.
It was a very strange experience.
Was it pay to play too, right?
Not for us. I mean, not around the time that we started playing there. I never did the pay to play, but I did work as a stage manager for Viper Room for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I saw a lot of people paying the promoters before they played, and it was very sad because kids would give a promoter maybe like $300 or $400 before they played to like 4 of their friends.
Right.
When that $400 could have gone to a rehearsal spot with a keg of beer and 100 of their friends.
Yeah.
But people just think that if they play the Viper Room, or at least they thought, I guess, if they played that would give them a little bit of...
It's so funny chasing the rock and roll dream.
It is.
It's kind of tragic. I'm still chasing it, I guess.
I am too.
Yeah. It's also tragic not to chase it.
It is, I mean, you got to really... I think a lot of people, people were like, oh, you're really lucky, and you're always getting to tour and do this and that. And it's like, well, I'm available.
Right.
That's why I get to tour, because I've made myself available because that's what I want to do.
Right.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't, they're like, well, I'd love to go to Europe, but I've got this gig and
yeah,
I'm working at this restaurant or whatever.
Yeah. Or my wife won't let me.
Yeah. That's the other one.
Yeah.
Looking at me. Guilty.
Ehud almost couldn't come to L.A.
Uh-oh.
I'm here.
But he's here.
Yeah. I'm glad you are. It's been a while since I've
Thank
seen
you.
you.
Yeah. Last time I saw you was with Eagles at St. Vitus in Brooklyn.
And I know you were filming.
Yeah. And I think Matt Jenkins was the bass player on that gig.
McJunkins.
Yeah. And the guy who's with him in Beta Machine was the drummer.
Yeah, Jeff Friedel.
Does the lineup on Eagles change often?
Yeah, they've been changing quite a bit. It's funny with that show. I don't know if you remember, I was yelling at the lighting guy. Because you were filming it.
And he went dark.
He went dark.
He shut the lights off.
It was so dark, I couldn't see what I was doing.
Yeah.
And
Dave was like, turn the lights up.
Well, I was like, Mr. Lighting Guy, could you please turn the lights up? And then the second song, Mr. Lighting Guy, could you please turn the lights up?
It's funny
the third song,
you remember that.
Dude, can you fucking turn the
lights up?
I'm like, I can't see anything up here. And they're filming it. He never turned the lights up.
No, he was. He was difficult. Yeah. He's being artistic.
He was super nice at the end of the night too. He's like, "Man, I hope we can work together again." I was like, "I don't think we're gonna be doing that."
How did it come about that you started playing with them?
I got a call from Josh Homme that he said they were looking for someone to do a couple of tours.
Right.
And again, I was available. And
Right.
luckily, I played that tuning a lot. So, because Jesse only plays in open G tuning.
Is that right?
Every song's
written in that.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that tuning, and basically, like, I love that tuning, but I always end up playing, for one, I play the Keith Richards riff.
Absolutely.
I make a Keith Richards-esque riff always. And sometimes you can do cool finger picking stuff with that, too.
It's really cool for that.
It's great for that, too. But then I have a hard time, like, I guess knowing the different chords when I'm in that mode, or like how to make something minor to major, all that. Like, I need to really, like, I guess, practice that tuning.
It's not the easiest to play solos that have been played in a standard tuning.
Right.
Like, Josh is a really good guitar player, and a lot of those songs are played in standard tuning, and then you have to learn a solo in a weird...
Yeah, the fingering then is all bizarre.
You're kind of
probably.
all over the place.
Yeah. And you record, so are you like a full-on member of that band or just a touring member?
No, I was just a touring member. I stopped touring with them about a year ago because I got so busy at the studio, and I have a couple other bands, and my friend Bingo and I launched a Mezcal company, Rancho De La Luna Mezcal.
Right.
So that started taking up a lot of time, and we weren't touring for a while. They took about a year off, and they just started touring again. But at this point, I was just too busy to do it.
Yeah. So how did the Mezcal company come about?
We were kind of joking around. My friend Bingo, he was saying we should have a tequila because everyone brings tequila out here, and Hutch had built a Patron tree with all the empty bottles.
Right.
Because everyone that came out
was like psychedelics or tequila.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it became this kind of joke. And then a friend of mine came over very, very quickly after that was brought up, and he was with a friend that asked if we'd ever thought about Mezcal because she knew some people that wanted to have partners in the States. So the next thing you know, we're making Mezcal.
Is it like the brand, like you're actually making it, or how do you go about it? Or
Our
is it more of
partners
a
are
branding thing?
Yeah, our we found a really cool family that makes the best Mezcal, and we became partners. And
okay.
We threw our name on it, and it's really, really good. I know you don't drink anymore. I don't drink a whole lot anymore.
Right.
But I do enjoy the Mezcal a lot. It's very, very mellow. It's not like getting really shit-faced or anything. You know, it's just kind of a mellow. I do it. I sip on it.
What's the difference between Mezcal and tequila?
The region is grown.
That's it, really.
Yeah.
It's not the strength or the quality or anything.
It's a different kind of
what? Smoke?
Yeah. Yeah, it's agave that's pit smoked, you know, like and then once it's smoked, it's ground down, and then that's distilled, and that's what Mezcal is. That's why it's got a bit of a smoky flavor.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
And what's that called again?
Mezcal?
No, your Mezcal.
Rancho De La Luna Mezcal.
Rancho De La Luna Mezcal. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the packaging look like?
I think there's a bottle laying around somewhere.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. I don't know where.
Do they sell it in all the local bars in town?
They do in a few. Pappy and Harriet's has it. Gotti's has it, but not every place. We've been trying. There are a lot of places in New Orleans, more in New Orleans and the Pacific Northwest, because we're expanding now, but we're kind of like slowly expanding. So right now we're in Illinois, Louisiana, California, and Oregon.
And if someone in New York wants to buy it, what do they do?
They have to order it.
If you go to the ranchomezcal.com, you can order it. But it's going to be in New York pretty soon. Not maybe in the next 6 weeks. I think we'll be in New York.
That's cool, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Drink responsibly.
Yeah.
Or don't.
And then, like, how did the desert sessions come about out here? And are those continuing, or is that something back in the day? Or what?
Yeah, that they do continue. Josh decided that he wanted to bring strangers out to the desert and throw a bunch of people together and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first one was a lot of super close friends.
Right.
With people he'd been playing with. And we had a blast, so he just kind of evolved from there, and he started asking more people he didn't know as well but admired.
Right.
So then it just kept growing and growing.
Yeah.
And they're always super fun sessions because you bring in all these people that have never worked together, and everyone has their idea, and everyone's so good that things just kind of they roll so fast because, you know, as you well know, if you've got a song and you've got great players, things just happen.
Yeah. Well, that energy too of just like I don't know, when you sort of make creativity happen. Like I got signed early on to Peter Gabriel's Real World label, and he had these things called Recording Week where all these different musicians came in from all over the world, like, you know, families from India, African musicians, Chad Blake, you know, John Leckie, Joe Strummer came out, all that kind of thing, and they would just make, like, you know, improvisational records, you know, Carl Wallinger from World Party and all that. And
that must have been the most incredible. I've never been to Real World.
It was
Studios,
insane. It was insane because I worked minimum wage, at a guitar shop was my last job, and then I got a cassette, went to Peter Gabriel, and then next thing I know I was at Real World. And I had been a bass player that had was good at slapping and popping and all this other shit. I just started writing songs. I didn't really kind of even know why I was there. I knew I was getting signed.
Yeah.
And then Peter came and said, "Hey, you want to help us with a song in the studio?" And I said, "Yeah, I could play bass or something." He goes, "I was thinking that you would sing and write lyrics." And I was like, holy shit. Next thing I know, I was doing a duet with him, singing and writing lyrics with Carl Wallinger, and it came out on this album called Big Blue Ball. They finally produced it all. It took ages for, I think Stephen Hague put it all together or something, who produced who was it, New Order and stuff like that. But the Desert Session seems like a kind of a version of that energy,
I think it sounds exactly like that.
Sounds very similar.
I've always wanted to go to Real World Studio. I've had a few friends record there, and it sounds like the coolest studio ever.
Yeah, well,
Is it still in the same place, Joe?
yeah, it is. Yeah, and I guess it's probably similar in the fact that it's this place is when you're here, what else are you gonna? I mean, there's a focus to being in a situation like this place. I'm looking at the sky behind you. It's gorgeous. It's just
the sunset.
It's unbelievable. It's almost like we should take a break.
Let's do it. Let's take a sunset break.
Let's take a sunset break and then come back because I want to see that.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to too.
Yeah.
I tell my daughter every time there's a sunset, I'm like, Carmen, sunset alert. Let's go see it.
Well, typically here when you're working, that is one of the things you do.
Take a sunset break?
Yeah, if it's like this, which is insane.
It is insane. Yeah, so
That was a nice sunset break.
that was nice. Yeah, so we came up with a collaborative project while we took a sunset break. Are we recording? Of course. Called the Manifestors.
I love that.
We might make a project called the Manifestors.
It's going to be very positive.
Yeah, we're going to just write about how people love us and we're getting rich. You know what I was thinking about, too, is I feel like the hip-hop community's already, really locked into that. Because if you think about how many songs they have that is based about, how much money they're rolling with, all the fashion they have and everything, and and they do end up manifesting all that kind of, I guess it's called drip or, all that abundance. I feel like there's, some serious wisdom in that.
I never thought about it, but you are absolutely correct.
Yeah, because we were just outside talking about people who have manifested some negative consequences by various names and stuff like that and things like that. But you got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, because words are powerful.
They are, and it's easy to be negative in certain times.
Yeah, I work on my state of mind every day. That's a big priority.
Yeah, I admire that about you.
Thank you.
Your health and your art and your positivity.
Yeah.
And as much as I try, I still find myself bitching about stupid things, and then I catch myself and try to erase that. And
it's a daily thing. Yeah. It's a daily. I wake up, I put on a mantra first thing, usually some kind of positive, clean, clean, clean. That's a love mantra to try to get love into your life.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then there's Ho'oponopono, which Ehud hates it when I bring that up.
Go for it.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you. And all that kind of stuff, going on runs with positive mantras and stuff. This would be an amazing place to run.
It is.
I would think.
Yeah.
Especially at dawn.
Well, the sand is really good for you, too, because it's not a hard surface.
You could do barefoot running.
A lot of rabbits around here, I saw.
Yeah, our friend Trina Shoemaker, she's a really awesome engineer. And
I met her in New Orleans.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's out here now?
No,
she's in New Orleans.
But a long time ago, she did a really great Victoria Williams. We talked about getting Victoria Williams on the show.
Get Victoria.
And she did a great album of Victoria's called Musings of a Creek Dipper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really beautiful record, and it was one of the first real albums that we did, when we started
here at
the Rancho.
Yeah.
But she ran every day and she loved it. She said that it was, I tried running for a while, but I always just wore my boots.
Oh yeah, that's not good, bro. I mean, you got to get the real. You got to get like.
I got the image in my mind.
I was getting pretty good though. Like the first day I could make it around the house. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy and I'm older. Then the second day I'd get 2 times around the house.
Yeah.
But I was almost dying. And then the third day I'd get 3 times around the house, and I was like, hey, that's pretty killer, and I'm actually recovering from that.
Yeah.
But then I never really got it together.
Long walks are also good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And around here is a beautiful place to go walking. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just staying at a hotel in LA, and it's funny because their do not disturb sign was like one of those clever ones. It was like in, and then it was like being naughty, and then it was like out looking for trouble. That was the two, which is one of those ideas that should have just been like, brought up at the meeting, and then they were like, that's okay, we can't actually do that. But they went through that, and I was like thinking, I'm sensitive to words to the point where I'm like, okay, in being naughty, it's like, for one, and you could say, okay, stop taking things so seriously, and true, fair enough. Yeah. But still, like, in being naughty, I wasn't in being naughty, so I feel like I'm missing out, for one.
Yeah, of
course.
course.
Everybody else is being naughty. What the fuck? I'm not. And then out looking for trouble. That's the one where I was like, out looking for trouble. That shit, like what we were talking about before, that sensitivity of words, they actually sort of, they're powerful. First came the word, apparently. I don't know. Have you ever read that book, The Secret Messages in Water?
No, but it sounds awesome.
It's pretty wild. It's like, I don't know the whole ins and outs of it, but like the scientist would like write words on a water bottle. Like if he wrote love and then you semi-freeze it, and the crystals of it would be like these beautiful, like,
Oh yeah, I have heard of that.
You've seen that, like, yeah. And then if you put like fuck you on the water bottle, it would be like fucked up, like asymmetrical.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tattooed a bunch of good words on me.
I
feel like we're like mostly water, so
yeah.
I think that might have helped.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
It seems like you're happy and healthy.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I'm trying. That's the new punk rock.
Yeah.
I think,
I've always been striving for health and happiness.
Yeah. Well, and also like I've noticed like some people who are really creative with music have a real creative streak in putting together environments. Like Greg Dooley's really good at it. We were just at Mark Lanigan's house, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this place is incredible.
Thank you.
What do you think? Like, how do you get your skills at putting together environments, or did this just come together over years?
Well, it started with Fred,
Mm-hmm.
and also thrift stores and swap meets were a lot better.
Right.
25 years ago.
Right.
And you could find you can still...
Like that thing, for instance.
Oh, yeah. That was a birthday gift for Fred.
That's beautiful.
The funny thing is we bought that thinking it was this antique. And then after we bought it for him the next day from this antique store, they had another one.
That's great.
But he did love it because he was a cowboy, and it fits him really well.
Yeah.
But it is kind of strange how...
Yeah. And the Kiss hat, too. Were you into Kiss?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Which one do you identify with?
I was an Ace guy
Ace?
myself.
Embarrassingly, I'm a Gene guy.
Yeah.
I hate it, but it's true.
Well, I still write like Gene Simmons.
I mean, yeah, that song.
Yeah, this is the best.
They're great. I still think they wrote great rock and roll songs.
Gene Simmons?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
But I mean, like on the
Going
note from Kiss Alive 1, I always write my lettering looks like the Kiss Alive.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish I could write
like
Gene.
Pen Pals or something.
I still write Gene every day. Oh,
That's
Gene,
what
I miss you.
like.
Yeah.
Joe mentioned Lanigan and Dooley, and we were listening in the car, collaboration between you and Lanigan, and I know you've played with Dooley and Twilight Singers.
Yeah, and
How
Lanigan.
far do you guys go back?
I met Greg in '99, I believe. I was on tour with Queens of the Stone Age, and we played a show together in, I've forgotten exactly where we were. Our next show was in Greece together in Athens, but the day before, I think he would know. It was a festival somewhere. But that's funny because, I don't want to step on names while I'm dropping them, but Dave Grohl had was friends with both of us, and he told me I needed to hang out with Greg and vice versa.
Oh, really?
So when we finally met, we did hit it off because he was living in New Orleans, or at least working there quite a bit at the time. Greg was.
Greg, oh yeah, at Kingsway probably.
Yeah.
Right? With Mike Napolitano.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how I know Greg, through Mike Napolitano. Yeah. So did you work at Kingsway? Or did you ever meet Dan Lanois when he was down there?
Yeah, I went there I went there a lot, actually. I went on a trip with my friend Larry Mullins, who went down to play drums on Iggy Pop's American Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove from L.A. to New Orleans, and I stayed there for like a night or two before the band got in. We got in early, and they let us stay there. And I was there for just a little bit of the recording, not much. Like, they would let me pop in occasionally.
I didn't realize Iggy made that record there, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's cool. Did you meet him?
Oh, yeah.
You know him? Oh, yeah, he's worked here before.
Yeah, he did his last record here.
Oh, wow, that's wild. Did you work on that?
I was here. I didn't really work on it or play on it. But, yeah, I mean, I met him a lot because Larry was playing drums with him. So we hung out quite a bit at some of the shows because I would go to a lot of the shows. I'm a huge, I mean, listening to the Stooges since I was a kid.
Yeah, me too. They're like the best.
The best. Those
I mean, what's your favorite?
Raw Power is still my favorite.
Really?
Just 'cause this was the first one. I mean, I know everybody says Funhouse is the first one. But there's something about Raw Power, even though that's not the Stooges.
Right.
You know, it is. Arnie just bought the first edition of it. He's waiting for it to arrive right now.
Yeah, but then they remixed it too. And they put bass on it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. They turned the bass up.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good. Everybody complains about
that.
Because it had that great energy with like, even though there was bass on it, without the bass, it has that energy.
Oh,
like,
man. The energy's crazy. I mean, I'll never forget the first. I was at my friend Randy Murley's house.
Yeah.
And he put it on, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it still is exciting today as it was the first time I heard it.
What's the first one called?
The first one's just
the Stooges.
Yeah.
That's the one John Cale produced, and it has that like crazy mantra jam. Like the second song is like Om Shanti. It's not that, but yeah. And it goes on for so long. It's wild. Oh yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, going down to being in New Orleans, it's a funny story. But one night when they were recording, I stopped by and they decided they wanted to go out to eat. So we went to eat on Decatur Street, and then they wanted to go have a drink before going back to the Kingsway. So we went to the Blacksmith Bar. Jean Lafitte's Blacksmith Bar. It's the oldest bar in the United States. And we were the only people in there. The band, Iggy, Malcolm was engineering, and maybe one other person. But we were sitting around the piano. There's a piano in the back of it. And I just remember there was a couple, guy playing piano and a girl. And she had, even though we were the only people there and at the piano, she had a microphone. And she had a tiny little Vox amp. And she played a song, and she was like, "Hey, you guys look like you're a band. Are you a band?
Y'all in a band or something?"
Yeah. And she holds out the mic, and Iggy's like, yeah, we're a band. Yeah, we're a band. And she goes, "Oh, what are you guys called?" He's like, "Well, I'm Iggy Pop, and this is my band." And she's like, "Oh, cool. Are you gigging around here?" And he's like, no, we're recording an album. She's like, "Oh, that's real exciting. Okay, I want to play you another song." And it was just
she had no clue.
Still one of my favorite moments of my whole entire life.
Yeah.
It just was one of those moments. And of course, when I've seen him over the years a lot because we've played shows together with Eagles, have played festivals, and we've hung out and stuff. And I told him that story when we were hanging out. He's like, "Yeah, I don't remember that at all." I'm like, I didn't really expect you to remember, but that was really one of the best nights of my life.
That's funny. And your Iggy impression is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It's like the energy, like sort of that naive like energy or something.
Oh,
it's
he
like,
was so happy. Like,
yeah. Probably like it's almost a method of putting people at ease because he's like an intimidating character.
Yeah.
So if he's like kind of that sort of lilt to, and probably just real authentic enthusiasm for life.
It was.
Obviously.
The funny thing is that the first night that Larry played with him, they played some weird party in San Francisco, and I just remember the very first thing he did is they started whatever song, and he ran out to the front of the stage, grabbed the mic stand, and threw it backwards as hard as he could without looking. And luckily, Larry saw it the last second and just moved his head, and the base of the microphone stand just went right where his head was.
Yeah, that could kill somebody.
It probably wouldn't have killed him, but it probably would have knocked him out for sure.
Yeah.
But it was just such a good thing. He was just playing drums. All right, I'm in now.
So how much time do you spend in New Orleans nowadays? Like, are you there half the time or not?
No. I go
on
for
occasion.
Yeah, I go there for Mardi Gras pretty much every year unless I'm on tour.
Yeah.
My friends have a band called Denola, and they just won best heavy metal and punk band, even though they're really neither. They're just a rock band.
Right.
A really good rock band, and they're really, really great friends of mine. The drummer and I have been playing together for almost 30 years. He's the one that got me. His name's Jimmy Ford, and he got me the restaurant. He's the one that told me about it. But they also have a band called Pink Slip, and this year will be their 20th year. They play in parades down there. So they play in like 4 or 5 parades. And when I have time, I go down and I sit in with them on their float.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. They're great people, and it's mostly cover songs, but we get to throw in our songs as well.
Right.
So we'll be playing. I wrote a song called "I Want to Die in New Orleans."
Careful with that manifestation stuff, bro.
Of
course, you're gonna have to die somewhere, probably.
That's the thing. It's not. I want to die right now in New Orleans, but it's eventually when I do. I want to be there.
Yeah. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a fun city.
Not out here though.
Well, at the time, I wrote that song in like '92. So at the time, I wanted to. I wasn't in a hurry.
Right.
But I thought that would be a good place to go.
Celebratory.
Exactly.
Instead of this sort of tranquil.
I just meant when I finally have to.
Right.
It seems like the place to do it.
Do you have like what do you have like what do you think happens when you die?
It's a good question. I have no idea.
Yeah, but like what do you think? Or what if you had to like guess?
I would think that my particles go back into what makes other things happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it's like I'll be conscious.
Yeah.
Or if it'll just my essence will go into the world and become something else.
Right.
It's always an interesting thought, though.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that death is not the end.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, and I think like I spend a lot of time disidentifying from my thoughts, like going into things like metacognition, where like if I'm like, okay, I'm like afraid, I'll go like, who's afraid? Who's asking who's afraid?
Yeah.
And so then I just like kind of knock myself into being the witness of my thoughts.
Yeah.
And then that's interesting. And I feel like the more time you spend is just that sort of overriding presence, witnessing everything, you realize, okay, you're not this limited being.
Right.
And so that sort of makes me think that was here before I was born, and it's going to be here after I'm dying, and the only thing that's going to disappear is the mental noise, and like and then that thing that I become in those moments is exactly the same thing as what you are and what everybody is, and what it's like we that thing is the presence that we are all one.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, you always thought you were going to be on the green hill with the guy with the long beard and long white hair and a robe.
I am with the guy with the long beard.
He manifested it.
Here I am. I've manifested it.
In heaven, too.
This is kind of heavenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously there's just too much going on to just like it. There's no way it's going to just end.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to be judged for the things I've done, and I don't think there's going to be virgins waiting for me, and I don't think
that's a bummer.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think it just kind of you just go back into the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Do you like spend any time in prayer and meditation or anything like that? Do you have any kind of that situation happening?
No, I used to a little more than I do now, but I don't know. I probably should.
Well, I don't know if there's a should. I think music is meditation. When you play guitar, like, don't you slip into it then? Just like all of a sudden 3 hours pass by and you're like, what the fuck?
Well, definitely that. But I mean, I do know a lot of people that meditate. I have a really hard time focusing on things. So I have way too many thoughts that are always bouncing around in my head. Yeah. But maybe that's why I should meditate.
Right. Well, it's a muscle. Like Pema Chodron, she's like a heavy duty Buddhist like genius lady. I don't really know the rules of what you're supposed to say, what the actual name you're supposed to give, but she's like high up there, whatever, like a spiritual teacher. And she talks about meditation, and it's really like inspiring because she's like, yeah, I'm shitty at meditation too. And it's so inspiring hearing somebody so heavyweight like her, who she's been on Oprah and all this other stuff. Not that that's the measure, but still, she's legit. Like her, like, and just like like the fact that she struggles with her mind and that stuff too. But yeah, that's the whole point. Like, okay, who's having obsessive thoughts? Who's asking who's having obsessive thoughts? Kicks you out of the obsessive thoughts. Yeah, that's okay, dude. I was just fucking with that chord.
There's a place out here there's a place out here called the Integratron.
Oh right,
I heard about that.
No, we just saw that on Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, we were watching that on the way up
with
here.
Sound.
Yeah,
while you were driving.
Well, I was like we were doing.
I was driving. He was
we were
relaxed.
getting into the spirit, Yeah. And so what is that thing?
So a guy named George Van Tassel, he worked for Hughes Aircraft, and he said he was visited by Venusians.
Right.
And they taught him how to build this cellular rejuvenation
Are they local?
It's local, yeah. It's in Landers.
The Venusians, are they local?
Oh, local.
And that's where you have a house in Landers.
In
right?
Landers, yeah.
Yeah. So you live next to this. What's it called? Integratron.
Integratron, yeah.
I like that name, like integral.
It's awesome. It's a dome. There's no nails in the whole place. It's only put together by wooden dowels. And he was told that it would help rejuvenate your cells, not like a fountain of youth, but it would help heal and so anyway, before he completed it, he kind of forgot what they told him, so it never was completed.
I heard they killed him or something, or like it was like
no, he died, but it wasn't like murder or anything.
Right, but it was mysterious. No,
it was not so mysterious, except for the fact that like the FBI and CIA came and confiscated all of his writings and everything.
That seems wild.
Yeah,
I don't think the CIA would give a fuck about my writings after I
Hell no, they don't care about me. I mean, yours maybe, but not mine for sure. Mine, they'd be like, what?
I don't know. I don't think I qualify either. But I still maybe will build an Integratron just yet. Who knows? So
who knows if the Venusians are in the house?
Yeah.
But so anyway, they a couple of friends bought the place, and they do sound baths there. They do the crystal bowls,
right? Because the sound baths,
yeah, because it wasn't finished, and they really are looking for anyone that has information so they could finish it, but they haven't been able to. So now they do sound baths. So you go in there and you lay down, and they play the crystal bowls.
And have you done that?
Oh, many, many, many times.
Is it healing or?
It is.
So that's meditative.
It is. The thing is, I do know people that can meditate, and they say they leave their bodies when they go and do that.
That's crazy.
Me, myself, every time I'm laying there, I'm like, oh, what do we need to get for dinner? Because all these people are coming over later.
That is meditation.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
Dude, it's not a big deal.
That's
what
I do. I can't shut off.
No, exactly. But I thought meditation was when you just like thought of black and then...
I put on a mantra, and then like you just like focus on, or you focus on a breath or whatever like that, and then you just go. When the obsessive thoughts come, you know, like the nature of the mind is to like think obsessively, so it just makes sense that your minds are doing that. Yeah, it's just disidentifying with that. So that's what metacognition is for. That's what it's like, you know, and it's like going to the gym and working out. The more you start practicing being in the moment, the easier it comes to arrive at that place, you know. So that's probably those people are like good at it. So when they go in the sound bath, it's like, oh yeah, Yeah, that's crazy. I want to check that out.
You would love it. It's really pretty amazing, and the people that own it and run it are great. They're really cool people.
And they said there's like some kind of off the hook magnetic force there or something.
There's a couple of waterways that run perfectly underneath it, which he would not, George Van Tassel would not have been able to figure out when he moved there.
Yeah.
But they also used to have a lot of UFO conventions out there.
Right. Do you believe in aliens and stuff like that?
We were talking about this the other day. It's like, I think I saw a UFO when I was a kid, but I can't think that any intelligent life would want to come here.
Why not?
Because look how fucked up we are.
I know, but are we really that fucked up? Maybe we are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, I was saying, there's a billion, zillion solar systems. Of course how can we be the only thing?
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, well, there's like, I just listened to a Joe Rogan podcast where they were talking about Area 51. They brought on that guy who, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he used to work there, and he saw like some wild technology that was definitely like inconceivable that it came from here. Like it was anti-gravity or something. I can't remember what it was.
Well, I definitely believe there's other life forms, either in a different dimension or smaller than us or infinitely huge or whatever, but definitely somewhere. It's got to be. I mean, how can there be this much stuff? And
there's definitely. Do you ever have like experience with like synchronicity, like a bus going by with a message on it that seems like it's talking directly to you?
All the time. Man.
And the more you pay attention to that, the more it starts happening, right?
Absolutely.
See, like when that, like to me, that's like direct communication with the sort of intelligence. I don't know the nature of that intelligence, and then there's some people that are super like Jesus-y that think that might be demonic, but I actually think it's divine.
Absolutely.
It seems to me like it's encouraging mostly.
Well, it's like Fred calling me while I'm making a pizza in my restaurant in New Orleans. Do I want to be... I mean, that was a weird way of him inviting me to be a part of this. And somehow it was the smartest decision I ever made for a reason I had no idea why I made that decision.
Right. And how long ago did he pass away?
He passed away in 2002.
I was really sorry for your loss.
Thanks. Yeah, you would have loved him. He was a really awesome guy.
I've heard about him.
Yeah.
And I remember when I came here, I heard a lot about him too, that he was like a really special...
He was.
Really special guy. Like, when I came here, he had just recently passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was it very difficult to like maintain the space and after that, or for you, or was it heartbreaking, or was it just a natural transition, or what was that like?
It was pretty rough. We actually had a falling out before he passed away.
That sucks. I've had that happen before too.
He had it harder than anyone I've ever known. He went through a lot. He'd been suffering for a very, very long time, 20 years. And it had gotten progressively worse, and he had to carry a small suitcase full of medication.
Right.
So towards the end, he got very paranoid and decided that he didn't want to be friends. But luckily, I saw him a few days before he passed away. He was having breakfast with his parents, and we ran into each other, and we hadn't really spoken for a while. And it was great because we got to give each other a hug, and then he passed away a few days later. So it was really nice to be able to,
repair it.
Repair a little bit. And then after he passed, he wanted his friends and me to take care of the place.
Right.
And we tried it with a few people. It was a close friend, Dean, who sold us the studio. He wanted him. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't really feel like I should do this."
It was your place, really.
Yeah, it was our place, and he invited other friends in.
Yeah.
And we tried to do it as a team for a minute, but just wasn't really, not a million people were trying to come here either.
Right.
So, and everyone was pretty poor.
Yeah.
None of us had tons of money, so it was just kind of going into a bit of disrepair too from
Right.
just no one living here, other people doing other things.
Too many Indians and not a chief kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I was like, I think I need to take it over. And one of the guys was not super cool about it.
Right. There's always one.
There's always one.
There's always one. I was about to go, who was the one?
Yeah.
I don't have to say names, but there's always one.
There's always one.
How did you get rid of that guy?
I
mean, that's a harsh way of putting it, but
I didn't get rid of him.
Not get rid of him.
The other guys other guys were like, yeah, we don't even know why we were even picked. So
right, they saw the situation for what it was.
And the other guy was like, well, I want to be part of it. And I said, well, here's the deal. Then you do it.
Right.
But we don't need partners. We need someone to take
a focus.
And he didn't at that point. He kind of relented and.
Right, you were like, okay, if that's the deal, then I'm bailing. Kind of thing.
Yeah. I was like, I need a place by myself.
Yeah,
and since we built it together,
right,
it should be me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. And then now is, do you feel that Fred's spirit communicates with you now from the other side?
Absolutely.
Like, fuck yeah, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And that's
through like synchronicity, or like how does that work?
I just feel that part of him is always around,
mm-hmm.
and I feel like when certain sessions that we're working on are here, that I can feel like a bit of happiness, from like that he would be totally down with what's going on.
Yeah,
especially like when Iggy was here, and
right.
there's a bunch of sessions where you can kind of feel it.
Yeah, and is there any examples of things that happen, or is it just a feeling more?
It's just a feeling.
Right.
Yeah, I've never had like ghostly moments of,
right.
Of things like a guitar
ringing
out.
Ring, Fred's favorite chord.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's a D minor. Oh,
the saddest of all chords. That's funny, man.
But I mean, maybe it's just me thinking that, but I mean, John works here a lot. You can kind of feel like when the.
I've had those moments. I keep late hours up here a lot too.
He what?
I feel like
he keeps late hours, and he was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting around here and I just fucking that, but definitely like the presence thing when
there's
so good, like flow or vibe in the studio.
Yeah.
You feel like you nailed it. Just the presence or the happiness.
Yeah, you can feel like, oh shit, he'd be really loud, especially like it happens a lot, not by the people that are here, but maybe like fucking crazy synth sound you'll get, and you just be like, oh, yeah, he would have loved that,
right. And just even like putting him in your own spirit in your own space is like honoring him and celebrating him all the time too.
Always.
The fact that this place is like still a functioning, beyond functioning, creative realm like it is, it's honoring him.
And it's all because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought me in. It's all, there's still tons of him around here.
Yeah, well, that thing.
Yeah.
And then tell me about your pedal that you designed.
It's a pretty cool pedal. It's a Fuzz Octave Wah.
And so is it the high octave thing, the Hendrixy thing, or the low octave thing?
It does both.
Okay, that's perfect.
You would. It's pretty funny. It looks like an Evel Knievel pedal. But
do we have that one around and we can see it?
I do. I think it's behind you.
It looks like it might be behind you.
It's in one of those bigger boxes. Yeah. I can't remember which one it's in, but this guy, his name is Dr. No.
Oh right, he's pretty famous pedal maker. Right?
Yeah. He made an Alan Johannes pedal.
Oh my God! So this is a Fuzz Wah Octave. Oh my God, dude, this is badass. How much do these go for? And what's the bro rate on this?
Yeah.
They're two-part question.
You know what? They're pretty pricey because he actually builds them by hand.
Yeah, this is wild. How much?
I think those are like $350 or something.
That's not bad for all it does.
No, it's
dude, this is like a one and done for me.
But also look at I'm
getting one of these.
Just the rubber sole thing, and it's got my story on there.
Oh my God.
It's pretty ridiculous. I'll check in on the bro rate.
Check in on the bro rate. I'm for real because I'm into minimalism.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about this too. That is a genius looking pedal. And it comes with a keychain.
Yeah.
Dude, this is sick.
He's made one of my favorite pedals he makes is one called the Colossus, which is a octave fuzz box as well. And he did it with a guy named Ruben Block, and it's amazing.
Dude, I'm going to get one of these because I have a...
It's got wings, even though I tried to tell him that Roadrunners don't fly, but they do have wings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who the hell puts wings on it? I love it. He's a real genius guy.
It's a little comic booky.
It is.
It's like a superhero
Yeah,
pedal.
Captain America.
Oh man, so because I'm getting into minimalism, like just one looper maybe and one pedal, like that's all I need.
That one you would love. It does some cool stuff. He made one with Alan Johannes before he made that one, and his is really beautiful. Al's from Chile originally, so he's got like Chilean money, like coins with his birth year, and everything about it is about Al's life, and it's really beautiful. So when he said
he does are they one-offs or are they like, no, that one's a commercial release?
He does a limited number of whatever he does.
Yeah.
But he makes everything himself. So it's like,
okay, so it's designed like you came up with the concept of...
Yeah, he asked me if I wanted to do a pedal, and he goes, what would you want? And I said, how about a Fuzz Octave Wah, because I like all that.
Yeah.
And so he did that.
So when you go on the road, do you usually take a very minimal pedal board, or have you ever had like the big fucking spaceship as well, or what's your deal with that?
My pedal board is that one over there.
So
and then I'll take one of those for the side of it.
So that's like a kind of a medium size.
Yeah, I carry like a couple of delays.
What kind of delays do you like?
I like the right now I'm using the new Echoplex, the Jim Dunlop one. And I'm using the Dispatch Master by Earthquaker Devices because it's really good.
Shout out to Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, and then the Boss digital delay is always my favorite.
Isn't that a killer one? Why is that one so kick-ass? I use that one too.
Yeah, I'm not so much into the newer ones. I like the old ones that when you stop the pedal, it stops. And then they have the ones where you stop it, but it continues on until it dies. Yeah. And I'm not so down with that.
Why not?
Because if you fuck up, you can like stop it. Like, okay, that was cool.
And sometimes, they even have one that has a tap tempo on that one too.
That's a cool one.
Yeah, but I don't have that one. I just have the regular, old school one.
The Jim Dunlop has a tap tempo side piece thing that I have.
What's your take on tap tempo? For it, against it?
I don't use it a whole lot.
Yeah.
I just kind of set it, and it's close enough.
Right. I have this killer fuzz called a Rano Bender. You ever mess with one of those?
No, but it sounds awesome.
I think it's based on the Tone Bender fuzz, which is those are like those really boutiquey, expensive jams now. But the Rano Bender's killer.
Is it a Rano like Mick Ronson?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yep.
One of my favorites.
Back to Mick Ronson.
Yeah, we talked about him a lot with Keith today. He was like big fan of Mick Ronson.
One of my very favorites.
Yeah. Did you see the new Dylan documentary?
I did.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
His lyrics, like you forget. I mean, I remember like always kind of, we were talking about it today because I remember when I was a kid, people would try to get me into Dylan. And I like some of the stuff.
Yeah.
I really like a lot of the like early and then the mid stuff, like the Lanois stuff that they did, which is really cool.
What about like Blonde on Blonde and Highway 61?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But I remember like when what was the book that came out with all the lyrics? Biograph? Or, no. What was it?
Biograph was like a CD set or whatever.
What was
album
the book?
set.
Anyway, it was the lyric book.
Lyric book. I know he had that one called Tarantula.
Yeah.
That was like wild poetry book.
Yeah. This one was just like a
Chronicles,
book of his.
But you're talking about...
Maybe so.
Chronicles was his memoir.
Yeah. But
so you're talking about lyrics.
Yeah, this was a book of his lyrics. And I was like, holy shit. But then I tend to watch some stuff with subtitles. And in that movie, when he's singing the lyrics, you're like, every line, which is 100 lines, is better than any line of almost anyone.
Yeah,
it's pretty unbelievable. Like
just
especially
the Hurricane alone. That
in the Hurricane,
every line is a story.
Yeah. Every single line, and it's anyone would be lucky to have one line like that in a song that they've written. And I was talking with my friend. We were saying, like, certain people are just touched by magic, like heavily touched by magic.
Yeah.
And he's definitely one of those guys. Like, those lyrics blows you. Even if you don't like his music, if you don't appreciate lyrics that amazing, then you're missing something. You're missing out on something.
Yeah. Did you? I liked "Time Out of Mind" a lot, which he made in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And that was like before that one. I remember he hadn't put out a record in so long, and it seemed like he might never put out another record. And then you heard tell of, oh no, he's been working on one, and this, that, and the other. And then it finally came out, and it was just mind blowing.
Yeah,
it was like, what the fuck? This is as good as anything else he's done.
Yeah,
it's like a new character though. And then he just started putting them out kind of at a clip. Like he's just kept putting out new records produced by like Jack Frost, which I guess was his pen name for producing or whatnot. But
yeah,
it was such an interesting artist. There's never going to be another one like him. And then when he went into that old lady lay voice too, where he was totally changed up. This is how I sing now. Like, just like, just very interesting, and just always like going against the grain. Like even that documentary that just came out apparently is just like fiction too. Like it's not real.
No, there's a lot of like. Well, I don't want to spoil it for you. I hate spoilers. That's one thing I'm really not into.
Isn't that's not common knowledge?
It's not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I first saw it. I was assumed.
Well, we better edit that out of the other podcast. Then. Fuck
fine.
that. I don't want to ruin it for everybody.
It's fine.
I heard that though, so I just thought everybody knew that.
Yeah.
So people don't know that. Okay, we can move on to a different topic. I don't want to spoil it either.
No, it's so funny with spoiler alerts. Like magazines now, you're just like, they just give you the end of a movie. Like, oh, it's really a bummer when so and so dies at the end of the movie. You're like,
well, I haven't
that
seen
movie came out a week ago. You couldn't wait. Like,
I haven't seen the whole thing.
Oh, the whole it's really good.
I saw like the first little part of it, but see, when I watch something like that, I tend to get inspired and then just want to start working on something.
Yeah.
So then I pause it and then I don't get back to it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But it's great to see that, especially being a huge fan of Mick Ronson, to see him in that thing.
Yeah.
Not that it's a spoiler, but yeah.
We already
that Mick Ronson's in there.
That's fine.
Right. I think I don't know. It seems like everybody's already seen that now. Everybody was talking about it like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and it's been out for a while. By the time this podcast comes out, it'll be
But yeah, people
July or
people
something
feel
like
the need to tweet shit too, like Game of Thrones. Did you see that crazy ending? And you're like, wait.
Did you?
I don't know if I'm gonna watch this, but you just kind of blew the whole thing.
I avoided social media every Sunday until I watched the episode of this last season. I just no Instagram, no.
But it was
Facebook,
crazy.
Nothing.
Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Do you watch it?
I did watch it. Yeah.
I didn't.
Did you like the finale or what? What's your take on the finale?
I did not
like
it.
I didn't see it.
You're not gonna see it. Let's be honest.
That's true. I couldn't keep up with that whole series.
Personally, I didn't like it. I like everything. I don't have one thing I'm into. If something's good, I like fantasy. If it's not, I like biographies, whatever.
Do you read?
I do read, not as much as I used to. I used to read all the time, and now I have a hard time reading when I'm moving.
Right.
Which is where I used to, in tour buses and on planes and stuff. And now I have a very hard time remembering what I just read when I'm moving.
What about audiobooks?
I like audiobooks. I used to drive across country a lot, and I loved it when I would do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was going to be stupid, but then
no, it's killer.
It's so killer. But maybe that's what I should start doing.
I do audiobooks all the time. Like I've been on the road with him before, and I would try to put on like
we listened to the
book.
Michael Caine biography and it was
Michael Caine
read by Michael Caine.
Read by Michael Caine.
God, that must
fucking awesome.
We bought it at a truck stop.
I bought it at a truck stop, and he was all pissed off. Like, come on, we're not listening to this. I'm like, dude, it's Michael Caine, and it was killer.
It was great.
I'm going for that.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
It's probably on cassette or something.
It's definitely worth getting for sure. He had a great book about acting too. Like, if you ever want to read like the best book on acting, it's by him. I forget. I think it's just Michael Caine on acting.
I always loved him.
Yeah,
great actor.
Yeah, man.
Can I ask, and you cannot not answer because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
When you were with the Eagles, are you
Yeah.
comfortable talking about everything that happened in France and how you dealt with it after?
Yeah. Sure.
Please, so if we don't want to have to talk about the incident, but like when we said when your mind doesn't shut off after an experience like that, I mean, you were a survivor of a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how does I come from a country where that happens
A lot.
on a regular basis, and I obviously know people who died in terror attacks, who survived them, wars, the whole and so how does someone like you that happens like at work with the whole situation? How do you move forward? How do you get past it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's interesting that you would say that because obviously it's by far the worst thing that's ever happened to me and friends. And I don't really know how. I mean, I guess always still kind of dealing with it. I mean, for the first 6 months, everything was definitely iffy because I didn't know why, that happened. And so I was definitely certain noises or things would definitely trigger things.
Post-traumatic stress disorder off the chain.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But also the one thing that I always kept in my mind is, as horrible as it was, it happens daily all over the world.
Right.
So it wasn't like that's the only time that it's happened. I mean, it was fucking horrible.
Right.
But the one thing that helped me deal with it is when I finally got out, because I was the last person in the building that got out.
That's wild.
Matt was out just seconds before me. He was out just a minute before. But on the way out, it was...
How did you get out of the building? They shuffled you out?
The police brought me out. But the thing that I always kept going back to was how cool people were afterwards. Like the people that were there, it was really strange because people that were at the show were coming up and saying stuff like, don't hate France.
Right.
Don't hate Paris,
Even that night
the
they were
people
saying that?
like this one guy came up and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why are you sorry? And he's like, yeah, we don't want you guys to hate Paris. And I'm like, what? No, of course not. And I looked down and said, are you shot? And he goes, oh yeah. It just kind of went through on my side. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to hate you or Paris or France ever, because that was just some fucked up people that for no reason really other than their fucked up viewpoint. I'm not, and it wasn't even like they were like actually really religious in the, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like
just more dumb than anything else. Yeah.
Just kind of dumb and and deadly, like
it's no different than shootings here in the U.S.
Yeah,
it happens, unfortunately. But there's a sense of like the event's over and whoever survived, and sadly whoever didn't. There's a camaraderie for survivors, to group together and to you sort of become a family with everyone who was there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I lost a lot of friends that night, a lot of people that weren't super close, but people I'd met on many trips to Paris, and other people that were coming from other places, and it was a hideous thing, I mean, it was so stupid because it started out as such a fun, beautiful night of people having fun.
Right. When you play Paris, like for people who don't know, that's like there's LA, there's New York, there's Paris, there's London. Those are, I mean, all due respect to every place you play, but those are like, huge cities, and so there's more excitement for bands when they, especially if you have a big audience, and if you're playing the Bataclan, you have a huge audience there.
Like
I've played there before.
It's beautiful, man.
It's a beautiful room,
and it was a great show. We were having a great time, and it's just sad that people feel the need to. I don't even know how you would be talked into thinking you need to go make a statement by killing innocent people that are at a show having fun. Like I'm not sure what that shows the world.
It's just people who don't have anything to live for, I guess, and there's just, I don't know either, but I would guess that it was just like rage at God, rage at humanity, rage at themselves, just unbridled rage and needing an expression,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my best guess.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible, and the like a lot of my friends that were in the room, like I was hiding, so I didn't see firsthand a lot of things. I mean, I saw some before I went into the hiding.
Where'd you hide?
I hid in a bathroom.
Off to the side of the
that was backstage.
What was going through your mind?
There's that backstage that goes
Not
up,
a lot of good.
up, like there's a spiral staircase.
Yeah, and there's one to the left.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't thinking about there was a door to get out.
Yeah.
So I just kind of hid, and it was crazy listening to all that while I was there, and no one really checked that room the whole time until the very end, and then one of the bombers was trying to kick the door in.
Wow.
And
were you holding the door at that point?
I wasn't holding the door at all. I was hiding underneath like a sink.
Oh, wow.
And the police, before they shot him, they turned around the corner and he blew himself up at the door.
Shit.
When you were in the building?
So there was a bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like right went
I
off
didn't know
right.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
At the door?
Yeah, I had to step over his head to get out of the...
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. It was definitely the worst moment of my life.
Jesus.
But also the other scary part was I couldn't really tell what was going on because everyone was speaking French, and I can understand a few words, but not when people are,
especially in that situation. Yeah.
So I couldn't tell if it was the police or not. Once that had happened.
Well, and you must be in total shock, obviously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily the police were super cool. They were just like, unlock the door, step back, put your hands on your head.
Because they didn't even know if you might be.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You look like a terrorist.
So what did you do
scary.
What did you do to like after that happened and with dealing with like post-traumatic stress disorder? What did you do to heal that? Did you see somebody to help you heal that, or did you? Do any regime or any kind of situation to help, or just let time do it?
I kind of just let time do it. I tried to be around people I love and that love me, and try to slowly get back into whatever I had going.
Mm-hmm.
How long before you went back on stage?
I think we were back on stage with you two.
Right.
In a couple of weeks.
That was the first time?
On television.
Yeah. That was pretty
wild.
That was pretty wild. Like going back to Paris that soon afterwards. If they wouldn't have asked, I don't think I would have
ever gone back.
I would have gone back, but it wouldn't have been quickly at all.
Right.
And they were extremely cool to us. They flew us over first class and made us feel if you're ever going to go on stage after something like that, you two can probably provide you with some serious protection.
Yeah.
But they put us up in their hotel, which was really nice.
Right.
Nicest hotel I've ever been in.
Right.
And they were just very, very cool and gracious to us.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Was it traumatic going back, even though it was the YouTube treatment?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
and there must have been even also like seeing the sort of commercialization of that too. Did that have any kind of weird contradictory feelings to you, or any kind of?
Honestly, I was more concerned about like Jesse and I have a real distinct look. Like I didn't shave or anything, so
right.
It wasn't like I could go out and just put on a baseball cap and some sunglasses. And at the time, nobody still really knew what was really going on either. Like if they were targeting just us, or if it was just a thing, or nobody really knew anything about what and why.
Right.
So it was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's interesting because you just, I guess now it's just considered random terrorists.
Yeah.
But you said something earlier that made me think like, you would have to like, part of recovering from that situation, I guess, would be depersonalizing it, because you said something to that effect, like, hey, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you take something like that personally, I suspect it would be like twice as or many times harder to heal from it.
Yeah, I like when I left Paris, I went to visit my girlfriend in New York. I didn't come back here for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably the smartest thing I could do instead of coming straight back here.
Right.
Because no one in New York would even know or care, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when I got back here, it was just this isn't like a fortress here either,
Right.
So that was a little scary for a while, thinking if they were looking for me,
right,
it wouldn't be very hard to find and do whatever.
This is a famous address.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
I don't think the no trespassing signs would have stopped anyone.
It doesn't stop anyone now. I mean,
right. It didn't stop us. We're here.
Yeah.
We're in your living room.
You guys are always invited here.
Thanks, man.
But then, Dave, you actually went back and played Bataclan again.
No, we didn't play the Bataclan.
You didn't?
No. No. Because it wasn't open for a long time.
Right.
I thought you guys went back to the actual venue.
No, we played another venue after the U2 thing, but it wasn't open for a long time. You got to remember, it was a crime scene for
long time, okay.
for a bit, so they really had to do an extreme renovation in there.
Yeah.
Would you go back and play the venue?
Absolutely.
And my other question, unrelated, were you in Queens the same time that Lanigan was in Queens?
No.
Okay.
I was in Queens from 97 through 2000.
What albums were those?
The first, Rated R.
I love Rated R.
Yeah, those two.
Yeah. That one's great.
I like that one too.
That's my favorite one, I think.
Yeah.
Just because that's when I discovered that band.
Yeah. It's a great record.
Their band, yeah.
Were you just available or a band member? I
was a band member for the first two records.
Why'd you leave?
I was kind of mutual.
That's the answer Lanigan gave.
Yeah. But you stayed friends.
Yeah. I mean, also, I had to like bow out of a couple of tours because I was doing my own stuff with my band Earthlings. We did a couple of tours, and I was more into doing my own thing. Right. As much as I love Queens.
Yeah.
It was also a different kind of scene at their shows then. You know, it was mostly, I played a lot of shows with not a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah. And that started growing, obviously, as we played more shows, and it was still fun. And I love those guys and I love those songs, but it wasn't, as like it's more fun to play your own songs.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But there is something to like being a member of a band too. Like it's like less pressure too, and it's just kind of like you're.
Yeah, it's like.
But I could only do that when I'm doing my own thing in conjunction with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just kind of got to the point of where, it was kind of time for something to happen.
Right.
You and Josh are still good friends. Has he ever invited you back to play with Queens just for the hell of it?
No.
Okay.
He's got Troy and Dean. They're pretty badass.
What's your next move then in terms of music, and like what are you working on now?
We're working on we got some cool things. We're right now Earthlings album is about halfway done.
That's cool.
And so Pete Stahl, our singer, he tour manages a lot of bands. He works with a band called Rival Sons.
Uh-huh.
And so he's on tour a lot, and all the guys in the band all do different things. So we get together when we can, and we're about halfway done with an album. And Mojave Lords are almost done with an album, and that's me and Bingo. That's my partner in the Mezcal. Mm-hmm. And I just played a show with Masters Reality. I play with them live occasionally.
Is Matthias in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Shout out Matthias.
Yeah, Matthias
Schneeberger.
Yeah, we just backed up. Mark Lanigan too, both of us.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Masters. And we're doing a really cool project with our friends. There's a band called Black Futures out of the UK, and they're really cool. It's a 2-piece.
I like the name.
Yeah, they're great.
Although they better fucking be careful with that manifestation
I know.
shit. Black Futures.
I know.
You know, it's like.
I just thought it.
Yeah, you just thought it. Yeah. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, check them out. They're
Black
really good.
Futures.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But we're doing a project together that's going to be really cool. I'm not going to talk too much about that one right now, but
spoiler alert.
But yeah, it's a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But we recorded about half of an album together, me and Bingo, with those guys, and it's going to be a cool multimedia event that we.
So you got like 3 albums in a mezcal company.
Yeah.
Basically, in a studio that's.
What about
one of the best?
Your solo.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Shared Hallucinations.
Yeah, I got my solo album.
Yeah,
out.
Shared Hallucinations, great record.
Thank you so
really
much.
Love that.
Is there a part 2?
There's a part 2. Part 2 is going to be the instrumental movie soundtrack album, and then there's a bunch of other songs that are pretty close too.
What's the soundtrack for? Is it like an imaginary movie, like if Joe Dorowski or whatever his name is made a movie kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or something to.
Well, like Shared Hallucinations is it's like a fake Pebbles, or one of those compilations from the '60s.
Oh, okay.
It's all got fake band names.
What's the full title with that? Shared Hallucinations.
Part 1.
But there's some
Sonic Salutations from the venerable vaults of the Rancho De La Luna.
Yeah.
Cool. I couldn't think of a longer name.
Yeah,
I kept trying.
I think Fiona Apple beat you on one time.
I think she did.
Which one?
I don't know the name of that.
It's like a paragraph.
It's like a whole paragraph album title. But
I should know. There's second one? No.
Yeah, something like that. Or When the Pawn, I think, is what it starts with. Well, dude, man, thank you for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad that I can get you guys out here.
Yeah, we're happy that we got to come out here, man.
We love road trips.
Yeah, we got to do Manifestors.
It did take us 4 hours.
We should, man. I think that would be a funny idea. Like, I actually think, like, it's kind of like all the best ideas comes in like a wave of sort of humor, like with, But actually, if you really think about it, if we put out and we could even get collaborators too and do something called Manifestors. And the only thing is it all has to be songs that are really, really positive manifestations of beautiful realities. And think about it. It would be great for, obviously, us, and we would do it like for that selfish reasons.
Yeah.
But also, you're giving it to humanity. And then you guys can hum along with it too and manifest some great shit too.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
And we got Joey Castillo living across the street.
Yeah.
We get him to play drums, and Brian O'Connor lives next door. We get him playing.
Does Joey play in the Bronx?
I think the second single should be "I Love All This Sex I'm Having."
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's true love, by the way. That's true love and going somewhere.
What about no more?
The best sex
money.
is true love.
I love this best sex. I love this true love sex I'm having.
Yeah.
What, more money?
Money song. You gotta have.
Oh, yeah, like. I love how rich I'm getting. I love how rich I'm getting.
No more money, please.
Getting rich.
And I'm giving a lot of it away to people that don't have any.
See,
and then more money comes my way.
Right. I'm saving the world. I'm saving every day.
I'm feeding the homeless.
Can't believe I'm immortal now. Can't believe I'm never gonna die. Can't believe I'm in perfect health again for the 18th lifetime this lifetime.
See, that's the first single right there.
Right there, man. Yeah, we're on to this.
And we just have it recorded. You could just use that.
I love my new penthouse in New York City and driving that Lamborghini.
I'm down with that. I'm not sure about the Lamborghini. I think that might.
Yeah,
I think that I'd get a lot of speeding tickets.
Even
though I would not want to manifest that either. I'm not getting any speeding.
I can't believe, even though I drive how fast I want, I never get a speeding ticket. Nah, I can't. I don't know, some word that rhymes with want, but I'm thinking of a dirty word, so I don't want to say that because
don't.
I'm not going to.
Where can people follow you online?
Oh, yeah.
www.ranchodelaluna.com. www.ranchomezcal.com.
How about that?
www.earthlingsinfo.com.
It's Earthlings with a question mark, right?
That is, but not in the www.
Oh,
They
okay,
don't do
right. Just for people to know.
Yeah, and
www.mojavelords.com.
Oh,
sorry to interrupt. www.mojavelords. Yeah.
.com.
And then why does the Earthlings have a question mark? Earthlings?
Earthlings?
Because we might be aliens?
Yeah, because I wanted to have a band name that included everyone, but didn't tell you where we were from.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that.
At least everyone on this planet, but we all know there's more things somewhere else.
There's definitely other dimensions. What do you think about that, Ehud?
About aliens?
No, yeah. Do you think there's other beings on other dimensions?
Probably, yeah. I'm with him on that.
I mean, it gotta be. Come on.
If you start thinking about it, yes. I mean, there's got to be somebody else out there.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'll go with the comic book explanation of multiverse and parallel Earths and whatnot. I'll go for that.
I love the fact that we're selling out Madison Square Garden and on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
I like that. And then
can't believe we're doing 8 nights at Madison Square Garden again. 2 weeks in a row, we've invented new days. I don't know, man.
And then I bought 1,800 houses for my friends.
Yeah. Can't believe I made all my friends millionaires. What's that say hearing there for?
Because aren't you hearing something?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I want to hear stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any tinnitus vibes going on, or are you good with that?
I don't have any tonight.
Can't believe I have no hearing loss.
Yeah,
and perfect vision 2020.
I gotta say, you play loud as fuck.
I do.
Hey, cursing!
I've stood in front of you at a show. It is loud. How's your hearing?
Yeah, it's rock and roll, dude. It has to be loud.
Yeah.
The fuck.
But how's your hearing?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Always. I'm never gonna not have great hearing.
Same with me, man. My hearing's perfect. It's unreal.
It's amazing.
Can't believe how perfect it is.
Probably better than the day I was born.
Certainly. Mine's improved.
I think it's improved every day.
I have like practically bionic hearing. It's weird.
Can you hear that? I think I'm hearing a song in Detroit on a radio in a '69 Ford. I think it's The Boss too.
Oh yeah. Which one? What's your favorite Bruce Springsteen album?
I'm not a huge...
You don't love him?
I respect and love him as a person. I've not super gotten into his music for some reason.
What about... Who would you say is like...
And
top?
I'm sorry, I have jammed with Bruce Springsteen before.
I'm sure he's cool.
He's cool as shit.
Where?
I had a girlfriend that was his personal chef for a minute, but I played with him at John McEnroe's 30th birthday party.
John McEnroe likes to play guitar, right? He's like a guitar player.
He's a good one. I played with him as well.
Did you play tennis with him?
No, but I played tinnitus with him. But I did play with Bruce Willis and Bruce Springsteen at the same time.
That's wild.
Yeah.
The two most famous Bruces, apart from Bruce Jenner, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who? Oh, yeah. Nice. He's a pilot. Iron Maiden.
And Don't Bring Me Down. Bruce. ELO.
What's that?
You never heard ELO?
ELO. Oh, right, yeah.
Don't Bring Me Down. Bruce.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, so who's your top 3 favorite songwriters of all time?
David Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And... That's a hard one.
It is.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Neil Young. Maybe.
That's
I mean,
I like those choices.
He has written a lot of not good songs too.
Mm-hmm.
But he has written a lot of good albums.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many good songwriters, but definitely Bowie and Lou Reed for sure.
Yeah.
What about yours?
Yeah, I would say Lou Reed for sure. Bob Dylan. I mean, Leonard Cohen's super good too.
Yeah.
What I say? I mean, it's hard to say 3. It's a kind of a bullshit question, but you know, I just was curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably go with Lou Reed, Bob Dylan, and yeah, fucking David Bowie, I guess too.
Yeah.
I hate the copycat, but
yeah, it's pretty hard to.
Once you put David Bowie in your mind so soon, like, what'd you think of his
Prince too?
Yeah, Prince is. I mean, there's not 3. There's so many more than 3. But like, what'd you think of David Bowie's last album?
I think it's genius.
So fucking good, right?
Yep. Scary good.
Yeah. All right. Well, are we wrapping the podcast? Is that the end?
we can go eat.
Got any other questions, or should we go eat in the desert?
I don't have any more questions. I think we covered it all and then some.
Yeah, we did. We did good, right?
Dave was kind to us.
I had a great time.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope we do it again.
We are gonna do it again.
I can't wait to do it again. Can't believe this podcast blew up. Everybody loving this podcast.
The best podcast that's ever been done.
It's a podcast in a paper cup. I don't know. I'm like really off my game, but anyway. No, I'm not. I'm on my game. I'm really on my game.
It's a game that's to be won.
That's right. And we're winning it.
We're winning.
My brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
No, it's great having you out. The Manifestors.
The Manifestors.
Be on the lookout.
Coming soon.
Coming soon to
Thanks,
a hit radio.
Coming to a store near you.
Coming directly to #1 on the charts.
Can't believe we went #1 on the charts.
We're going to start our own bank because we are going to have so much money in it to give to all the people to make the world a better place. And we're going to solve every problem known to man.
For sure.
Stay tuned.
Well, also, I can't believe the Bitcoin we created blew up. And like now it's like each one is worth $1 billion. And there's no more world hunger.
I know. I love that.
I love that. All right. Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.